freedom's the answer. What's the question? You're listening to Ernest Hancock.
Yeah, crank it up here on Declare Your Independence with me, Ernest Hancock, here in Phoenix, Arizona, from the BEA beautiful studios of Freedoms with an S, freedomsphoenix.com. Yeah, I almost got my voice back. I'll sing later this week. You got that to look forward to, or not.
Yay.
You know, the one thing that I'm looking forward to is we're in an election cycle here in Phoenix, and I sure as heck don't want to do it. But I'm hoping that we can get a good anarchist libertarian running for city of Phoenix, or at least one of the districts. Maybe I can get Barry to do it. And it would be an opportunity for us to be able to just bypass all the crap and have our own events, pass out a lot of stuff, participate in different forums and so on, do our own media, have signs. It's just an opportunity to educate, because I know what the issues are going to be. Because one, we can make them whatever we want. Now, of course, they'll want to make it about, I don't know, marijuana or gay marriage or war or, you know, the city of Phoenix, water of something, you know, but not anything of substance. That's where we come in. And we could do a lot of that. But the thing is that when you do that, there's going to be interactions, because you have the state and the city government, which is billions of dollars here in Phoenix. I mean, it's a big giant money machine. And we're doing the, you know, promote wallet voting, you know, the free parking and the meters. You keep doing that enough, it costs them money. They'll have something to say about it. But it's a good example. But, you know, Cop Block really has an opportunity. They're well known here in the Valley. And even when Pete Iyer and Adam Mueller came by in Marv, Liberty on Tour, they got to meet some of the guys and so on. Now, Adam's in trouble because in New Hampshire, he didn't like the way Pete was being treated by a judge, and he let the judge know what he thought of him, and he said, you know what? Thank you. That's 60 days. So, you know, we'll get more details on that when he gets out or something. We'll talk about that. But, you know, what'd you think was going to happen? And you got to be willing to do the time. You want to do the crime. Well, they said it was a crime, so he's doing the time. Now, here in Phoenix, you look at, you know, Drew and Nick, and they're on the front lines in Cop Block being a voice for this kind of stuff. And there's a lot of things you can be a voice for. And I want to, you know, we'll talk about some of the things that's got your attention, but I also want to, you know, what kind of role are you going to play as things start getting bad here in Phoenix?
Well, we do the police accountability report at least once a week, and we just highlight anytime something comes up in Phoenix. I definitely cover it, such as people extorting money, cops extorting money for overtime incentives, or if somebody gets beaten up at a bar by a cop for no reason, and I got video on it, it's going on the police accountability report. So we're with LRN running the Cop Block News, we're able to get some more national attention on some really egregious things that are going on in Phoenix, and I intend to continue covering things that happen in Phoenix.
Well, you know, there's a lot of people are taking you guys' lead and starting to videotape their own arrests and so on. But, you know, this has happened in other places like Chicago. They're going, oh, no, you're not allowed to do that. I hadn't come here yet. I'm not sure they want to go that far. But tell us about this one guy that's in trouble for doing that.
Well, I've got an email out to him. I haven't heard back from him. I don't know if he can talk about it yet because he's still going to, you know, it's before trial. But there's a guy, and he was an artist, and he was selling screen printed patches for $1, and he refused to get a peddler's license. He didn't want to beg the city to work in, you know, the free market. He wanted to do it on his own, and he knew he was going to get in trouble, so he had a camera. And I'm not quite clear if he wanted to make the point of, I'm going to videotape you while I do it, or I'm going to sell stuff without a license. One or the other. I'm down with both of them. So either way, the guy got arrested. He videotaped it, the whole thing, and when the cops charged him with his, you know, transgressions against the state, they threw in felony wiretapping, which, as many people know, in Illinois, Massachusetts, and Maryland, you can't videotape the cops because they're the king's men and they don't want to be videotaped.
Well, it may be that they have to be informed or get permission, or they get to say no, or they got some kind of rule.
Massachusetts and Maryland are sort of like that. They have some leniency in the law, but Illinois is straight up. You can't videotape the police.
Wow.
And the ACLU, which lots of people don't like. I like the ACLU. I like what they do. They're not good on everything, but they're out there fighting for, some civil liberties. I mean, somebody's got to be doing
contributions.
Yeah. But anyhow, so they took this guy's case on, and they go to the Illinois Supreme Court, and they're trying to get it thrown out. But the Illinois Supreme Court says, you have not demonstrated that there's a First Amendment right to videotape.
Well, did they try?
Yeah, they did. They did try, and there's a whole write-up of, you can look at their argument online, and, I'm not a lawyer, so I don't really care, but when you look to a document like the Bill of Rights to prove that you have the rights that you think you do, then you always run into that problem where the Bill of Rights are part of the Constitution, and the Constitution is the government, and the government gets to decide what's constitutional or not. So they're just going to do whatever they want anyhow.
Yeah, now see, this is my point. Whenever you go and you play with their football and their field, with their rules and their referees and their sportscasters and their stadium, what do you think was going to happen? I always like taking the role of, if I'm going to be in the stadium, I'm either in the audience or I'm the peanut vendor, okay? And I'm just, wearing a clown suit with a rainbow wig and just making fun of the whole thing. Because if you're doing anything else other than that, you're just validating the system. So I can see using the system to point out, just how stupid the system is and how they're using it to abuse us. But if there isn't a voice out there saying it doesn't matter what these documents say, it doesn't matter. If we as a culture, as individuals, can't come to the realization that any government you're going to have, that's why it's Declare Your Independence, show. Because the Declaration of Independence, this whole beginning of this whole experiment, was based on one simple concept. The proper role of government is the defense of individual rights. If it becomes destructive of that, time to alter or abolish. Well, is it becoming destructive? Well, every time you can point that out, then I'm like, oh, more arrows in my quiver. So I can see, that's why I was so, got a bad taste about this Nullify Now event Saturday. It was all about using the machine to oppose the machine. Now, I'm glad some of the people were talking about, just bypassing the machine, and the speakers that would make that kind of point. What were the points they were making? I wasn't there. How did that come out? How did that manifest itself?
Well, I mean, I guess more so the point would be that people took what they wanted from it. So the Tea Party crowd probably that's what they were hearing. I mean, they were saying both. They were saying you just ignore it. You don't need their stinking permission. And then others were giving specific examples of, like Gary Johnson, for example, would be vote for me and we can fix this thing. So I think people were drawing what they saw as the solution from it. So it depends on the individual who was there what they think the best course of action should be.
I heard a lot of good things coming from the people that actually threw the conference, though. I don't think they're down with begging the state for permission any longer.
I didn't get that impression when we interviewed him Friday, and I'm just, does everybody else know that? Well, maybe they do now if they listen to the show. We'll be right back in just a little bit.